1973 was a great year. George Foreman is the heavyweight boxing champion. The Miami Dolphins win Super Bowl VII. Jack Nicklaus is the top winner on the PGA Tour. Secretariat wins horse racing's Triple Crown. Nobody is using unleaded gas yet. Cars run on leaded gas. The world sees its first oil crisis when the Arabs proclaim an oil embargo after the October Arab-Israeli War. Motor Trend's car of the year is the Chevrolet Monte Carlo, with an 8-track player in the dashboard, bench seats, and no airbags. But not quite as nice an ashtray as the 1973 Rolls-Royce.
Back then, the larger your ashtray, the more luxurious your automobile.
Intel's latest chip is the 88, with a clock frequency measured in kilohertz. Bunny suits are introduced as standard clean room attire. A computer called the Wang 2200 is released in May, with a cassette tape drive. Steve Jobs is working at Atari as a technician. He hasn't yet gotten his head shaved in India. Indira Gandhi is the Prime Minister of India. Saddam Hussein is the Vice President of Iraq. Bill Gates is serving as a page in the U.S. House of Representatives and enrolls at Harvard College. George W. Bush is serving in the Air National Guard and enters Harvard Business School in the fall. President Nixon, the only living president, is serving his second term.
Well, I'm not a crook.
Vice President Spiro Agnew resigns, replaced by Gerald Ford. 1973 sees the U.S. military's leaving Vietnam following the signing of the Paris Peace Accords and the end of the draft. The U.S. and China establish diplomatic relations. Mao Zedong starts wrapping up the Cultural Revolution. Donald Trump is 27 and already big in the real estate business. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Olympia, the greatest bodybuilder in the world, and still 30 years away from becoming governor of California. Ronald Reagan is governor of California. Bill Clinton is dating Hillary. Barack Obama is a 12-year-old kid living in Hawaii. Harv's brother is also a 12-year-old kid. Elvis is alive and in Hawaii performing the first concert telecast worldwide. America is done sending people to the moon. The final Apollo mission completed in December 1972. The 11th and final person to walk on the moon, Eugene Cernan, lived until 2017. The first American space station, Skylab, is launched, followed by astronauts performing spacewalks to fix it. The Soviets send Luna to the moon, more specifically, their second successful unmanned lunar rover. 40 years go by before another rover is sent to the moon, by the Chinese in 2013. Kohoutek is first sighted in March and is hyped by the media as the comet of the century. Theoretical physicists entertain the possibility of radiation escaping a black hole by quantum effects, leading to Stephen Hawking's prediction of Hawking radiation in 1974. The Concorde, flying at Mach 2 and modified with rooftop portholes, allows its lucky passengers to experience the longest solar eclipse ever witnessed. For the rest of us, Pan American Airways is a classy way to fly, and every passenger airliner wants to show off the new Boeing 747s in their fleet. And it is entirely normal for passengers to smoke on planes. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan open in April and are the tallest buildings in the world, until construction is completed on the 110-story Sears Tower in Chicago in September, making it the tallest building in the world. Garfield the cat won't hate Mondays for another 5 years, but Charlie Brown is already 23 years old. A first-class stamp in the U.S. is 8 cents, and people actually write letters and put them in envelopes and mail them. You're probably making less than $2 an hour if you're working at McDonald's, but you can still afford to eat there. People are beginning to notice that McDonald's is getting really big, but there is not yet such a thing as a McDonald's drive-thru. But restaurants are starting to serve breakfast. Woody Allen's movie Sleeper is released. The Sting, starring Robert Redford and Paul Newman, is the top movie. Disney releases the animated movie Robin Hood. Westworld is released, the first feature film to use digital image processing. The Exorcist is released, along with the album Tubular Bells. There is no Star Wars, but there are already plenty of Trekkies. To find information about something, you have to physically go to a library, then attempt to narrow your search using the card catalog, hope to find a book on the shelf, maybe it has what you're looking for, but it was probably published years ago. But at least the women in the JCPenney catalog looked good. Coin-operated payphones and phone booths are everywhere. A Motorola researcher makes the first mobile phone call on April 3rd, but the first commercial mobile phone doesn't go on sale until 10 years later. In 1973, the phone company is AT&T. Phones are wired to the wall, people rent their phones, and rotary dial phones are still common. Anything out of your town is probably a long-distance telephone call, which are ridiculously expensive and a very big deal. Though the answering machine exists, nobody has one yet. Folks dial 0 for an operator, they get an operator. And voice over IP is invented by Danny Cohen. IBM releases the Correcting Selectric 2 typewriter. If you own a Commodore, it looks like this. The camera most people are using to take pictures is just awful. There are no personal computers, let alone illustration software or desktop publishing. If you need to design something, you get out the graph paper and your ruler and compass. Alan Kay's Alto desktop computer has a mouse and graphical user interface and local area technology, and Xerox doesn't even appreciate it. A prototype portable computer called the Scamp is developed by IBM and will be released as the IBM 5100 2 years later, but it's another 10 years before IBM creates the PC. In 1973, IBM dominates the large computer market with the System 370. There are no video arcades yet. Pretty much the only video game is Pong. Music is all analog and, aside from AM/FM radio, all on physical media, and the Sony Walkman is still 6 years away. Synthesizers are analog and monophonic. In April, the first EMU modular synthesizer is sold, in a wooden case. MIDI doesn't exist and won't be invented for another 10 years, but Gumby does exist. Dungeons and Dragons is invented. Clifford Cox, working for British intelligence, develops asymmetric encryption, aka public key, private key encryption. The Japanese build the first humanoid robot, the Wabbit-1. Sony wins a Technical Emmy Award for their Trinitron. People change the channel by turning a knob. Nobody has heard of a mute button. The Bob Newhart Show is on TV in prime time, featuring Bill Daly as Howard Borden. Alex Trebek is hosting the game show The Wizard of Odds on NBC. Watching Saturday morning cartoons is something kids do. Schoolhouse Rock premieres on television. There are no Chipettes, and the Chipmunks look like this. People watched what was being broadcast, period. VCRs exist, but no one has one, and Betamax won't show up until 1975. It'll be another 10 years before the world hears the word camcorder. So people shoot home movies on 8mm film, send it off to be developed, wait to get it back, and then view it with a projector. Everyone writes checks. A mechanical calculator is sold to help people balance their checkbooks. Bank account balances are logged by tellers in passbooks. The United States patent for the ATM, automated teller machine, is granted to Docutel Corporation. The United States patent for fiber optic cable is granted to Corning. Recombinant DNA is created by Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer. The CAT scan goes into use in the United States on August 25th. The first jet ski is brought to market by Kawasaki. There are no barcodes on any of the products in the stores, but IBMers are meeting with grocery manufacturers to get them to put the newly invented UPC barcode on all their products. M&Ms are brown, yellow, red, green, and tan. Sweet and Low is the only artificial sweetener. There is no Equal or Splenda. There are no microwavable prepackaged frozen dinners. TV dinners come in an aluminum tray and are heated in a conventional oven. Cigarette vending machines are everywhere. Starbucks was just founded in 1971, has only one location, and only sells coffee beans, not coffee. General Mills releases Boo Berry cereal. You can get 7 cents off Crazy Glazy with this coupon, and your groceries are always put into paper bags. Better Homes and Gardens publishes a new hardback binder edition of its cookbook with many interesting gelatin recipes. There is a country called East Germany. There is a city called Rangoon that's the capital of a country called Burma. Hong Kong is part of the United Kingdom. The United States owns the Panama Canal. In June, British Honduras is officially renamed Belize. The vast Soviet Union is a one-party communist state dominated by Moscow, comprised of 15 republics with diverse traditions and customs, and its economy has entered what Gorbachev would later call the era of stagnation. There is famine in Afghanistan, but also freedom. It will be another 6 years before the Soviets invade. There is a military coup in Chile on September 11th. The world's population is just under 4 billion people. Howard H. Aiken, designer of IBM's Harvard Mark I digital computer, dies March 14th at the age of 73. Pablo Picasso dies April 8th. Bruce Lee dies July 20th. Hip-hop is invented on August 11th. Marvin Gaye releases Let's Get It On August 28th. Piano Man is released by Billy Joel on November 2nd. On May 22nd, Ethernet is born. Neil Patrick Harris, born June 15th. Monica Lewinsky, born July 23rd. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, are born March 26th and August 21st. Seth MacFarlane is born October 26th. Rian Johnson, the guy who would ruin Star Wars with The Last Jedi, born December 17th. Oh, and yeah, Jim Parsons is born March 24th, and he knows why 73 is the best number.
In binary, 73 is a palindrome, 1001001, which backwards is 1001001, exactly the same.
This dictionary was published in 1973, and it shows that it is correct to say gigawatt.